fill
Oh,
out.
an empty one? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant the one that was submitted already, okay.
No. Yeah.
Aren't there 3 in total that you submitted? There was that first one that came from Lauren.
So I've got those two right in front of you, and I'm not giving you board nominations. Oh, are you Kyle? Okay.
Yes. At one point, I believe it was guessed 2017. I'm not sure if it still is.
Going to fill that out.
Have not yet, so.
You can try maybe with
Do it now.
capital G.
But we've got to, because we'll, like I said, we'll
That's
introduce it tonight, we probably won't really discuss until. And hi Scott, how are you? Come on in, grab a seat. And I got a short one copy of Felicia's, so we can share that.
Yeah.
Let me see what I need to get you. We'll have to share a couple of tools, though, but I'm sure you're okay with that.
Yeah. And you were asked because I had 4G here.
How are you?
That would be nice. No incorrect password.
Are there more than two? Because I saw some emails about people with interest
Well, that
and
worked.
redirected to an application, but I did not actually see the actual application come through.
I'm gonna wonder if I did
Look on our.
Because it was that one that was said.
Right.
That was it.
I wonder
With the
if when I forwarded it didn't.
Did you get one from?
Because I went back in today, I'm so sorry, I just typed in kind of that subject line and I didn't pull anything else new up. What did you say?
I said, did you get one from Corey Short? 'Cause I'm pretty sure she's applying too. Okay, so that one's coming.
Well, that's what I figured, and the posted July 30th, so we are open nominations until then, so thank you, Sam, I appreciate that.
That's okay, because I just can't.
It's not a totally
I'm
clear
also
link
half
term,
distracted
so.
because the first image from the James Webb Space Telescope is supposed to be coming out about right now.
I wonder
And
if
tomorrow they're doing a showing.
because
at
she
the
other
answered
four
all of
or
the
five would be able-
questions, I
would be able-
think.
Say one more time.
I think she answered all of the questions on the
Don't we have to have an official form to go to city council though? To be voted on, that would be
Yeah.
just for good measure. So. Get them in. Cause I was looking for. All right, guys, it's 4:32. So let's call us to order. And, so if someone would like to approve the minutes from June, or any questions.
Motion to approve, yeah.
Second, any questions, or someone to second the minutes from June?
I'll second.
All righty then. So just quickly, there was not really any activity last month in terms of billing, so our budget's at $10,205. We know that we're going to be finally using the funds for the Chamber and the Department of Transportation grant. Yay, that is actually going to come to fruition. And so 620570 should be a 74 is our actual available balance in the account. Of course, we did have the conversation about Arbor Day funding, and we know we need to go ahead and talk about sponsorship later on, but right now we have a really healthy, workable budget. So just to recap us quickly, Celebration Tree Program is something that we had done, just so you guys know, historically. I'm gonna pause for a moment. We have some visitors today. We have new folks. So let's and we'll do some quick introductions just really quickly, just kind of who's in the building, so like everybody I think knows me, but Tracy Buchanan, I am the chair, and we're gonna go around.
I'm Scott Mink.
I'm Natalie Arnold, a Conway Court member. And this is Allie. She also works at Conway Court as well. So she's sitting in today.
I'm Josh, I'm the small business member.
Kyle Kelly, I'm with the city of Conway.
Krista Quinn, I'm Faulkner County Extension Agent and Advisor to the tree board.
I'm Janet Tobias, interested citizen.
And friend of the tree board. Yes, absolutely.
And I'm Claire Carter-Smithson. I'm the chamber member, I think, in the group. I'm Sam Little. I'm a grad student that loves trees and perspective
Board member, paperwork pending, as in I need to fill it out.
We'll take it.
Hi, I'm Willow Harper. I'm also a grad student at UCA, and I'm also love trees. I'm working on my master's in GIS, but I also do dendrochronology research. So
Which is wonderful. And you just did labeled
That's
trees, right?
nice.
You just did some work on campus or did a project?
yeah,
on trees?
I did a presentation the end of last semester, I think.
Fantastic. Good. Well, we're glad to have them. So, all right, so to bring us back to business, and so Celebration Trees was a program that we once had where it was, someone purchased a tree 1-for-1 for an honoree, and we have suspended that program and we're going to move forward to do plantings of tree groves into the next year. So there was some finalizing we had to do with that. So communication's still pending. In terms of reaching out to the donors. So it's kind of in the city's hands, bounce back to us, and then we'll get that sent out and that finalized. We did make decisions, well, we'll have to officially, no, we voted them in last time too. 6 of the 20 trees that were planted had to be removed and will be replanted with new trees in Laurel Park at our Arbor Day Festival. So that's gonna happen on November 5th. And then, but because of the location of the trees where they exist now, that's the middle part of Prince Street. We're gonna go ahead and take all of the plaques for all of the remaining trees. So all 20 of the plaques will then be a dedicated engraved brick marker in Laurel Park along the sidewalk. So something a little more accessible for the people. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into Arbor Day, but just so y'all know, we've kind of been working through finalizing one program and moving into another. We did have the Rotary Club who had their grant in June. They did go through and see that planting. That's in the Fifth Avenue Park. That is always fun. So that is completed. The UCA Be Well Walk and Learn was like 110 degrees or something was the heat index. So that was canceled due to heat. We don't
The
want
wellness coordinator said it would not be a wellness activity.
heat strokes or anything. So that's been postponed. We'll hopefully be able to revisit that when it cools off, maybe closer in the fall when the colors change. Would be great to do that too. So, so there's that. We did have a preservation committee meeting. That's kind of a little ad hoc committee, is that the right term for it? Or special committee to work with between city development and planners, contractors and developers on what could be a good agreeable preservation plan in terms of forward development on both residential and commercial property, right? So haven't gotten the completed, we talked about several things. It's still a work in progress. There are a few things that did we decide on them or?
Well, I mean,
You guys
several of
wanna
them were
elaborate a little bit?
proposed policy changes that would still need to be voted on, I think. I mean, some of them would
Yeah.
have to be voted on by city council with, I think, planning.
So we are taking one ordinance, we're hopefully gonna take it to planning commission in July, and that one will be, I think we talked about that one, the tree planting for single family and duplex dwellings. And then hopefully in August, we'll be taking another one for tree planting around drainage ponds and retention and detention ponds and that sort of thing.
So those two are already.
Yeah, so those two are already kind of moving along. The
So-
other ones are still kind of very early on, so we have not really
Sure.
gotten the logistics ironed out for the rest of them.
So what are those, I guess I'm out of the loop on that. What are those ordinances, like planting for single family and duplex homes and then planting for retention ponds and stuff like that? What's that entail?
So basically, the requirement for the one for single family and duplex would be that all new construction would have to plant one tree before they got their final certificate of occupancy. So it's basically just something that we're not trying to say, you gotta plant like a million trees or
No,
anything.
yeah,
It's just
but
one tree.
yeah, that's a
it's
good
just
start.
one. So it's something that's not overly burdensome on the developer.
That's
But
great.
it also gives you a chance to have more trees.
What was the retention pond one?
So that one, we're still working with the transportation department on that. but
Okay, so that's not up
basically
for
what it's
vote
gonna
yet,
be,
but
yeah, so that one is still a little earlier on in the development phase, but what it would be is that we would be requiring plantings of trees around any new retention and detention ponds, because you tend to have a lot of erosion issues around those.
And can we,
That's
so
great,
is
thank
it
you.
new that there's retention and detention ponds as part of planning, or is that something that's been in place for
So it certainly seems like there's been a lot more popping up recently, which is kind of why we thought that we would need this new ordinance now, because it seems like you have a lot of new developments that are creating, retention and detention ponds.
The apartment complex Orso Vista off of Bruce Street, I've noticed they have what looks like a big retention pond off to one side that I like, that's great because the drainage is a problem in Conway and we know retention ponds help with that, so. Yeah, so that would be something like where we would tell them, go plant more trees around that.
Oh, yeah, and there would be
It would-
requirements for how the trees would be spaced and how far they would be from
Okay.
the high level.
See, that's great, I love to hear
all
this kind of
that
stuff.
But yeah, so we're still working on that one, so that'll probably be a couple months.
Those are both good ones.
Just a quick question. For the planting a tree with duplexes, is that one tree per like residential unit, or is that one tree per entire development plot?
So we're still ironing that out. I think
Okay.
right now it's probably just gonna be one for the development, but we could potentially change that because it does kind of, feel like it doesn't make sense to have one for a single family home and then one for a huge development that's got multiple units, so.
And part of the rub is the need for multi-unit housing on not greater amounts of land necessarily, and then you have to take room for parking. So I had a better understanding of some of the challenges, because we did challenge, hey, we've got subdivisions from 20 years ago that are fully, have great, healthy canopies, and now what is causing so much clear cutting? And so when you look at sizes of plots and development, and then the need to go, and I think that's a great question, because we will have more multi-unit housing coming up as opposed to single resident. So what does that look like in terms of allowing for enough parking, all of the other specifications that have to come along? It's still a small amount of property, retention and detention ponds. So we can only ask for so much land from the developer, like they have to make.
Tree per building, and
Right.
so if it's like 2 or 3 units in a single building, yeah, you still just need the one tree, but if you've got 40 livable addresses across 20 different buildings, we should
Right.
probably more than one tree.
Yeah,
Well, and
hopefully
then
it would
the
be one,
detention
again,
pond, so the detention pond ordinance, should that come to fruition? And then also, I think and chime in, because I'm just talking, but the perspective on what the urban forest looks like, so there could be under canopy work that's going on too, so it can't, if we can't do trees, what's the next best thing, right? And so I think they're real mindful of what the ditches are gonna look like, and
Yeah.
so anyway, so progress is coming with that.
Cool.
Is there
And,
any stipulation or guidance for species?
There's a current list, but it needs to be updated, and we have a committee working on that.
Nice.
It's very much, as far as I know, towards native species, avoiding things like Bradford pears that we all.
Singing that or empress trees, please no.
Yeah.
we don't want to, so there's.
Actually, ash is still on the list. It's one of the reasons we need to update it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we know something's coming, it's not a great decision. So, yeah, so it's, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead and finish.
No.
I had a question. If it's a preservation committee, are there any plans or discussions about preserving any trees that are already existing?
So, I don't know if you want to answer that.
There were, I actually can't remember, but the
There's
planning
8
department,
different things that
8
we
different
discussed.
strategies.
Mhm.
And some of them were more preservation oriented than the planting one is one of the easiest ones to accomplish first.
And that's why
And
we're
then-
starting there, yeah, so that'll be one that shouldn't
We
be
think that it'll
contentious.
be easy to get everybody to agree to, and I mean, even the builders are like, sure, we'll plant a tree. The preservation ones are a little bit harder to get the public support for.
And that's one of the reasons I got involved with the tree boards. I hate seeing them just clear cut an entire forest.
And there are some buffer
A
line
developer.
requirements, I think, too, with planning commission, so there's an ideal.
Well,
But it's something
and a
we're
lot of
working
the, a lot
on,
of
yeah.
the preservation strategies that we were looking at, they won't, most of them won't require preservation. There will be some sort of a incentive
Yeah,
for preservation. Because we're pretty sure that requirements won't pass.
And so there's, were you gonna pull it out? And I think I just came across the notes too. And because all of these are in the early planning stage, so I didn't want to like print and give these out because they're
Oh,
all
yeah.
still in process.
But it's still way early, unfortunately.
But some impact fee credits, and they're, you know, we're looking at, do we ask for green spaces of land versus, I know there are some impact fees now, there can be tree escrow funds, tree credits.
There's the one where a developer can actually donate a forested piece of property to the city in lieu of impact fees. So we would be preserving whole tracts of forested land, which is, that's a nice.
Yeah.
Would be beneficial.
Yeah.
Is there, I'm presuming, a committee to assess that they're not just giving us a portion of a pine plantation that wasn't as financially advantageous, but rather like native?
Yeah, we haven't worked out all those details yet.
Makes sense.
That was definitely discussed though.
That is, yeah.
In fairness, pines are native.
It depends, yeah, true. The loblolly pine is our state tree, right? Yeah.
Which I think is just the pine tree.
Soil type.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
I thought it was loblolly pine
It's all that.
specifically. I learned something. But yeah.
Our state flower is also a tree.
Apple.
Apple blossom,
Right? Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, boy, my fifth grade Arkansas history lessons are coming back to me.
All right, so know that we did meet in June and conversations ongoing, so, but glad to hear that some of this will go ahead and be going to ordinance. So will y'all send us a recap of those before they
yeah,
go
yeah, I
to
can do
council and
Yeah.
do that? Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments about that? Before we move on? And species selection is something that's been top of mind for a while. We know we have to get that in place because it's evolved. All right, so moving on to new business, we do have some Tree City USA signs that we would like to put back out. Kyle, I didn't know if you want to kind of walk us.
Yeah, so Felicia in the mayor's office said that it would be good to go ahead and put those anywhere that's not maintained by RDOT. So that is gonna be a separate process that we'd have to go through if we did wanna put it like on Oak Street or on Harkrider. So it's probably better to avoid those unless you all wanna go through that process, because that is gonna slow it down.
I
it
think
looks
we
like.
Well,
can
and
put
it's
it on
under-
a city road, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
City roads are fine.
Yeah, so they said any other roads are pretty much fair game, so I think we had talked about doing Prince Street and Salem.
Salem already
Salem.
has one by the Tucker Creek.
Yeah, oh yeah, it does.
So we were,
If we could put one
On the other
close to
end
where
of
you
Salt
get off
Salem.
the
Yeah,
interstate.
that might be good.
Yeah,
I was thinking even somewhere, I can't remember, I have to pull up all the locations. We talked about Prince Street, Salem, Donaghy, wasn't it? Or Harkrider, somewhere along Hendricks, by Hendricks was that location
yeah, so
or
that
somewhere
one would
there?
be an
That's
RDOT
RDOT.
location.
RDOT.
Yeah, it's also federal highway too.
Okay.
And you said the street department will install those?
Yeah, so they're gonna pay for the.
And they'll pay for the
installation, yeah.
post and everything, that's
That's
awesome.
nice.
That's nice.
So I can deliver those signs wherever I need to deliver them.
Okay,
How
yeah, I
many
think
do
we
we
would,
have?
it's two, right?
Oh, just two, okay, I thought we had like a ton of them or something.
No, they're just the big, like,
They're big.
street, they're like 2x3 and it has the
those?
Tree City
Okay.
USA. And then we got in our 17-year,
Yeah,
that's what brought all this about, is we got the new
Yeah.
pieces
which
for
I'm
the
not sure how
sign.
many of the year stickers we have, since we'll have 3. I think they usually send 2.
Two, probably. So, but those will go out. And I was trying to find the other locations. Okay, so, let's see.
So will the city decide where these go, or is that something that we
No, I
need
mean, that's
to-
completely open for discussion, so
Yeah.
we can talk about that if you all want as a board or.
I
however
think
you
Salem,
want to go about it.
over close to the I-40 exit as you're like coming into town.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That would be
nice.
great.
That's where I was thinking, I think it'd be good to have one
And maybe
somewhere
off of,
past Walmart towards Hendricks would be good.
Well, that's, again,
I think
that's
of
on
what roads,
federal
what
highway.
city,
Are you thinking like
That's on federal
Tyler?
highway.
On,
What
no,
about
on
city
on
roads?
Harkrider?
Yeah, Harkrider's
that's- Yeah, that's
uh,
still
maintained.
US
considered-
65.
still-
Yeah.
Still considered.
Yeah, 65, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Could you do it on Tyler, over by like Hendricks and kind of the roundabout, but
We can do that
still
place.
away where you
or-
could see?
I mean, we can do Harper if you really want to, we would just have to go through a separate process with RDOT.
We're just saying kind of main pathway, when would people be coming
Maybe
into
off
the
of the
city, you
new,
know?
interchange, the new south interchange that goes on to, what's it called?
Meadow Lake, no, the,
The
Parkway.
Sturgis Road.
The parkway, yeah, that comes into Sturgis Road, I can't remember,
Can never remember.
Stanley,
Yeah.
Stanley Russ Parkway, that's not right.
Baker Wills.
Baker Willis Parkway, thank you, that's the one I'm thinking of, which is another, that's just, as far as I know, just city road, as far as once we get,
How many people
Over
actually
bridges.
use
Yeah,
that?
since I've
though?
never
I do, cause I
I mean,
live on
I
South
do, I
Donahue.
live-
live
I
on
live
South
that way,
Donahue, so
but-
it's like the easiest one for me to get to, instead of, I could go down, Dave Ward, but there's usually way more traffic, if I go down South Donahue and down Sturgis and all
Well,
that.
that's
I think
all
it's
it
much
is.
faster.
One
Where
thing-
there's
South
some
Donahue is not a
at
bad
In the
idea,
city,
though.
where the main.
Oh, yeah, South Donahue wouldn't be a bad
parks,
idea either. I didn't think
athletics,
about that.
Where's
university,
they already at?
shopping. There's only one on Salem by the Tucker Creek where they're doing all the
Okay.
construction. It's kind of right there.
Yeah,
What about Hogan area?
So that'd be west.
Hogan,
Yeah,
Tyler
so I was
area?
thinking west and east, if we're, I mean, was kind of my thought, is like, where will we catch people
yeah, so,
coming and going,
yeah,
where the
coming
main
off of
funnels
Salem
of
on the
traffic?
interstate would be really good on that.
I mean, all Tyler has the library, and then you've also got Bell Urban, and so more foot traffic than normal.
Yeah.
But with it being one of many residential roads along that, I mean, yeah, a lot of people use Tyler, but I don't know how many.
We need
people-
planning to tell us which streets.
Yeah, how many-
I was like,
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what?
How many signs
are we talking about?
Yeah.
Just two?
It's just two.
Could planning,
bang.
maybe,
I can check and see, I
Recommend
think
a
that
couple
would
of
probably be
high-
transportation probably
or
has actual
transportation.
numbers.
Yeah.
So I can check with them and see what they think would be a good road.
yeah.
It's actually not a bad idea.
I mean, I was
Well, I know,
thinking-
cause I got numbers, I was writing a grant and I got numbers of like cars per day that go by on a certain stretch of road.
I was thinking
so,
Prince Street would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Prince
that's
Street's a
pretty
good
heavily
one,
traveled.
because it is a very heavy
Part of
east-west
Prince
corridor.
Street.
Would probably be good, I mean,
Maybe by the high
It's
school.
like 6th
Kind of by the
Street.
Yeah.
park.
yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, but-
Is that
Yeah.
State or city?
In between
6th
like the church and the Walmart
that's
and
city.
then the Kruger further down and all that shopping area, yeah.
6th Street.
So we're talking about Prince around Laurel Park
Yeah.
area.
Donna,
It's a high traffic.
You know, we mentioned South Donahue just a minute ago too, being like, that's a pretty well-traveled corridor, especially with like
They'd
college
probably think that's
kids.
ironic. South Donahue.
Like just north of
Because that's where all the.
That's where all the trees are coming down.
Yeah.
Sorry, just like that.
Could be.
No, I've been kind of sad seeing,
Like, we'll take
Change
a
it.
tree instead of that sign.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I've been sad
I'd be
seeing.
okay with planning and transportation coming up with a couple
Yeah.
of proposed locations based on traffic on certain roads.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
So don't just give us too
Could
good.
maybe-
But the intent would be,
3 or 4.
how do we get, east and west or north and south or
Yeah.
whatever how traffic.
And then just let me know where I need to take the signs.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds great.
So Kyle, you're gonna work with the street department on,
Yes, I'll
Those
check and
numbers?
see, I had checked with them a while back and that's when they told me about the whole RDOT thing, if we were to do Oak and Harkrider. So I'll check again and see if they have any
that
suggestions.
sounds good.
Is Stephen Morgan ours? Like, is that kind of close to Harkrider?
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Morgan, well, that's also a,
I think
it's
Prince
360
Street gets
Yeah.
more.
I was
I'm
like, Stephen
trying to
Morgan's
think. I
also
think
a state
Prince gets
highway,
more.
isn't it? Three,
Isn't there some
something.
place where they have all the signs for like Kiwanis and Lions Club and Rotary and all that? Usually see
Oh, at
those
the
kinda
entry of the city
clustered
on the
together,
interstate?
But I don't know if
Yeah.
that, I don't know if you want it separate. You may want it like in a separate location.
in the center of the roundabout by the like Zaza's shopping center.
Right there.
I'm always like the Joy for Boater. I'm like the person who wrecks staring at our sign.
Well,
Roundabout. We don't want that.
I'm going to get an accident one day, and my excuse is gonna be, I was looking at that tree.
Just doing my job. Yeah. Okay, all right, so Kyle, you will get back to us on the 2 best locations. We will take y'all's lead on that. So, okay, look, you lever, we just threw it right back at you. All right. So, okay, so available board positions, we were having a little conversation about this on the front end. So we do have 2 official, and to pause for those who were not here last month, we have 3 open board positions available. 2 of them are members at large. One is the professional horticulture, is that correct?
Yeah.
You don't, okay. And so professional horticulturist, and so those are the positions that are available. We do have 2 nominees already submitted, but we're gonna leave it open until July 30th. We'll turn around and discuss it on August 1st for that. And so we won't dig in. I did want to go ahead and share this with y'all and share the nominees with you. But really, Kyle, you're going to be speaking a lot tonight. There were some changes with board requirements in terms of attendance and things like that. So there's been a new ordinance that was passed.
Yeah, and everybody should have this in front
Yeah, I
of
saw
them.
that.
I printed out 8 copies, so there should be,
I've got, I think everyone's got it.
Everybody has one?
This one. That's the board.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we can
Yeah, I've
start
got
with
some.
this one, which is front and back. So this is the actual ordinance that was passed in
Yeah.
April by city council. And so there's not a lot of changes on here. The biggest thing is with the attendance standards. So if you look on the front side, under section A, it says standards of membership, and then towards the bottom, it has these 3 bullet points here. So it says after 4 absences within a 12-month period, you will be considered to have vacated your appointment on the board. And basically that is grounds for removal. If you already had 4 absences when this was passed, which we do have 1 person on the board that already had more than 4, then you get 1 extra one, and then you need to get back under the 3, back under 4 down to 3, and then you would be good, from that point on. So then on the other side here, it just talks a little bit about conduct standards. I don't think this affects anyone on this board. This is just, talking
You
about,
should still speak it.
yeah, basically just, nobody should be, being rude or, anything like that. No yelling, shouting, screaming, stuff like that. So this is, again, not really affecting anyone on this board. So that part is pretty cut and dry. So if everybody would like to know how many absences you have, I can tell you. So this only applies to the voting members. So if you're ex officio or non-voting, this doesn't apply to you. This is only for the voting members. So let's see. So I'll start with Natalie. You have 1. So Derek's not here. He has 1. Claire, you have 5. So you're our person that's already up at the top. Yeah, so you're good. So since you already had 4 when this was passed, you got an extra one. So now you have 5. So you can't miss any more. And this is just over a 12-month rolling window. So it's not a calendar year or anything like that. It's just the last 12 meetings. So yeah, it has nothing to do with the calendar. So it's just a 12-month period. You cannot have more than 3 absences within that 12-month period. So you will need to get back down under 4 to
So
be good.
she's had 5
So
in the
she has
last,
had 5 in the last
Wow.
12 months.
but was one of those,
So she had 4 when the ordinance was passed. You missed an extra one in May because this was passed in April. So you had the 4 when it was passed, and then you missed 1 more. So you've had your extra one. So now you'll have to go back down. So now you got to be here for a few months to
Got it.
drop back down
She
under
can do
4.
it.
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we certainly don't want to kick anyone off. This is just, to make sure that we're having quorums at the
we just
board
need
meetings.
to be able to
and-
function.
Yeah, to make sure that we can actually vote on things and stuff like that, because not so much with this board, but it has been an issue with other boards where
Sure.
we don't have people showing up. So that's really the whole
Sure.
purpose of this, is not to be punitive or to punish anyone, but just to make sure that people are showing up. So yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. So everybody else, so let's see. So Tracy, you have perfect attendance, so you're good to go.
Of course.
And then, so let's see, Scott, you have 1 absence, and Josh, you have 1. So you two
Yeah, I think
are
it was
good
the
as
first,
well.
the
Yeah,
first meeting I was
yours
supposed to
was the very
attend,
first
I
one, yeah.
missed that
But you're
one.
good, so you still have a couple more freebies, so you all are good to go. Yeah, any questions about this?
And I wanted to say, because I know this supersedes our bylaws unless the bylaws are more stringent.
Yeah, so
Ours
you,
were
so you can change them,
stringent.
so
I
I
think
think,
ours was actually more
yours said 3 in a
stringent
row,
than
yeah.
this. Okay.
so yeah, you can have bylaws that are stricter than this, but you cannot have them be less strict.
So, and I mean, that would be something.
So are we
if wanted-
sticking to our 3 in a row then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that would be
In
the
a row,
question.
so then when you started back then
I
it
mean,
just
3 in
all-
a row is the same as 3 within 12 months, really, so it doesn't make a
Physical
huge
year.
difference.
See, I'd have to go back and review. My guess would we would just align with whatever the
I think
board.
that's
So I think
probably what
it
we
would
should
not
do.
affect anyone on here, because like Claire, yours were not in a row, so that would not affect you. But I guess if I could offer a recommendation, it would probably be to align with this.
I think that'd
Yeah,
be
I
easier.
Do we want to
Easier.
vote? Does someone want to move? Can we do that now? And then that way we could rewrite our, and that was why my
Yeah.
question is which one or how do they work together? Because I'd
Yeah.
like to stay aligned with what the city wants, really.
So I'll move that we align our bylaws for attendance to mirror that of city
This
council.
ordinance, yeah, it's the ordinance, 02238. You made motions?
Second.
Second, okay, Natalie seconded, great. So be it.
All in favor, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, all in favor, we do have
Yes.
to do
Aye.
that. Aye. Any
I'm gonna say
opposed?
yeah, cause I don't wanna get gone.
You're overruled, but I appreciate it.
And I guess I would ask too, like, what are there considerations for, let's say, COVID,
Illness.
death in the
Yeah.
family, traveling with work, like, are there special
Baby with surgery.
considerations?
I would
Because
say-
I think about, like,
So here's what I would
Would
say.
Zoom meetings count, you know?
So yeah, those are very much discouraged right now. So we definitely want everyone to be in person. So I guess for that, I would say that, yeah, you get your 3 absences, I would say use them wisely. I would say if it's something extraordinarily, out of the, normal that comes up, I don't know. I'm not the one who's making the decision on that.
But then you can come back and get in good graces, and I like that it's that rolling 12 and not the
Yeah,
physical.
so I guess I would say try not to use your 3 unless you really need to. But I'm sure if something came up, it would probably be okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess I would just try to avoid that if you could.
I agree. Okay, awesome.
Any other questions about this one? So there is one other thing that I passed out that is a stapled sheet here. So this was from Felicia. So this is just kind of talking about general etiquette for the board. So basically, it's just saying be here on time. So when the red light's on, you know that the meeting is being recorded for the public. So that's kind of the time to stop all side conversations. It's just saying, don't, be eating or drinking during the whole meeting. So it's pretty simple, but if you have any questions, let me know. There's some stuff in here that talks about if you're meeting over in the council chamber, which generally that doesn't affect us. Because in here, you don't need to turn on your mic or anything. It's just good to go. Yeah, if there's any questions about this one, let me know, but this one is very cut and dry.
Can I do the question?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Since you probably have
Yeah, you can just keep that one.
it. I'm not a voting.
Say, is it okay to have like
I think
my
whatever.
cup of water or whatever in
I
here?
mean, yeah, it's
I was like,
fine.
if
It's just,
the
as long as
stickers are
you're
a
not
problem, I can put them
obnoxiously
down
chewing.
under here.
Yeah,
Just be mindful because we do have a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
I know that many people are aware of
Yeah.
that, but this is out there, it's a
Yeah.
reflection of the city and the way we conduct our
Exactly.
business. And so we wanna,
Oh, yeah.
we are volunteers, most of us.
And it's
but
certainly not saying you can't take a sip of water. It's more
Sure,
just
be
don't be
human.
chewing the.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not bringing, if I'm bringing
Yeah.
food up
Don't
here, it's
bring your
because my
dinner.
glucose is about to collapse and I
Yeah.
have to. That's a different
Yeah.
story.
And I would
I'll
say
make that clear.
Generally, that probably applies more to the council chamber where you have people right by the mic and they're eating, so
Yeah.
Sure.
it's probably not as big a deal in here.
Well, I do like that they have their red lights. You can't see all their
Yeah.
goods. I do have a question about, because I'm usually scattered everywhere. And you guys, I do printed documents. I know we're not doing hybrid, but if y'all would like to have, it says that, we can get with Jared, and I'm sure we will if we have more strategic planning, maps and things like that, but we can use IT to help us get some support to get things on the television for digital, is that a TV, a screen? So anyway, if y'all would prefer to have everything that way and we can have it up, that's something that I can do. I'm kind of old school pen and paper and I email it to you before, or type and paper, so I'm open. You guys let me know what.
I'm fine with electronic as long as you email the stuff beforehand and I can just pull that up from my email account. Instead of, well, like I wouldn't have had this document and this document because they weren't sent out in email, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with either way, really.
Like working copies, just renewable resource, I'm not too concerned about this, but yeah, okay.
I guess since we're the tree board, we should try to conserve trees.
It's a renewable resource.
I was gonna say, you're right, I take them home and recycle them anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
It is the best.
It is, right up there with aluminum, and that's the other
You
one,
put it in
yeah.
your garden. Oh, just kidding.
Well, and if you keep it forever, you're storing carbon.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh.
Yay for
Shows what I know. Actually, I've learned today. That's great.
So
Time's not
do
wasted.
not get rid of your paper.
That's right. Okay, awesome. All righty. So with available board positions, we know we're updating our bylaws too, so we will get those updated. We do have a Google Drive too, just so for new prospective members, obviously that's where everything that we talk about, discuss, is housed in there and everyone will have access to it. So we'll get that updated and new copies out as well. I did, before we move into Arbor Day, I did want to talk about the UCA Volunteer Fair. There's a registration that's due by August 23rd for a September 6th Volunteer Fair drive. That's usually when you get a lot of early freshmen coming in, people looking for opportunities. I've been there with different organizations and we've had really good success if we have projects lined up for a pretty immediate turnaround because they're coming in, they're finding all these different things to do. So I just wanted to ask your thoughts, starting September 6th, what are your thoughts on attending the UCA Volunteer Fair? I can support an hour of it, probably 2 hours of it with my lunch, and they're flexible with work and support it for that kind of stuff. So I can support some of it, but I can't do probably the whole event by myself, so I didn't know if there would be interest. Maybe if you're
What time of
available.
day is it?
It is from 1 to 3.
He said September 6th.
It's September 6th.
That's my lunch hour, 1 to 3, so I'd
Yeah.
be fine.
It's
And they
very
provide-
hot though, it's outdoors, right?
It is gonna be hot, it's gonna be outside the student center, but it's
So wait,
nice and breezy.
we're just
and-
like trying to recruit volunteers for whatever projects we have coming up,
Yeah, so
basically?
We basically want emails and contacts, right?
We
Okay,
do,
yeah.
and it's nice if you, so for instance, we will already be preparing for Arbor Day, and we talked about having our photo contest rolling, we'll have some other things, or we probably could have some types of projects.
Okay, do we have any more trees to plant in the fall? Cause I know that was the other big time we planted trees.
Everyone wants to plant trees,
Yeah.
so we always can get an abundance for that, but let's.
I didn't know if we had a plan for it or not,
Yeah.
that's what I was asking.
Yes, we will, yes, we will.
Got it.
We're planting something in the fall.
I can do the whole thing.
Okay, that would be great.
On a
If we
Tuesday,
could
yeah.
get some support today. They'll provide the
should be able to
tables
do
and
that
chairs and
too.
basically we go, we just educate them about the tree board and we'll talk about some long-term ways to get involved, but you really want to have some pretty immediate projects to keep them engaged because our event will be November 5th for Arbor Day. And that's going to require that we have volunteers to help just with the day, programming. We may want some students to help with activities, booths, so we'll talk about that, but so.
I should be able to do
A
that.
longer reach, and in fairness, I meant to look up to see when Hendrix, so we don't wanna just be siloed to UCA, they're a huge support, but we do have other universities in town, so in fairness, we would, I'll look at dates and we'll talk about when and where can we be for all of the schools to get them involved. And then we do know too, like Conway High School and the Key Club, they have lots of students and are very, I'm hopeful now that we are maybe phasing through COVID and not gonna have another little, something hit us before fall, but most groups will be able to be active even at the high school level, which would be great. So, but you said you can support that,
Yeah.
so that would be great.
Okay, so Claire, Josh,
I
and
can be there
Tracy.
too.
Okay.
Okay, so between the three of us, we should be able to do
I
that.
should be able to be
Monday
there the
through
entire 1 to
September
3, I don't know about
September
before or
6th.
after that, but yeah.
Does
Okay.
UCA provide a table?
They do table and 2 chairs.
2 chairs.
And then I think you get like lunch tickets too, or something like that, which you guys can
Do
fit
anything
those.
for food.
We'll feed
Feed me, I'll definitely show up.
So yes, and it'll be outside. So we'll talk about tabling and what we'll need, and of course, we'll get some projects lined up before then. But thank y'all for supporting that. All righty. I'm just double checking,
I
yes,
don't
1
mean to
to
laugh,
3,
but she's just
September
pulling
6th.
pens out of your bag, and I'm like, that's just the funniest thing.
And they'll get
I
parking
swear.
passes for y'all too, so it'll be pretty easy to get on campus that way. Okay, great, and then I will look into Hendrix, and unless someone else wants to do it, Hendrix, CBC.
I can look into Hendrix and CDC if you want me to.
Okay, that'd be great, you'll check that out, and then we'll see if we can get some support over there too.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hop right over for just a second. So the Urban Forestry Management Committee, we did not meet in the month of June, so we've got to get back on board with that. But one thing I did want to say, and I know there's information we'll have to share, but I'm thinking a consultant may be a good way to go. For us, we'll do the capstone project and then maybe a consultant, so maybe we can get the Planet Geo information sent back out to everyone when we talk about the management plan. So does everybody know what I'm talking about? The Planet Geo consultant group? Okay, all right. So there is and Sam, you guys know urban forestry management plan that we're working with for the city. The preservation committee is just a component of it, or the way that we interact with public trees, and then also we'll have some residential. There'll be a lot of stuff that will go into it, but we need to get something on paper to planning and get it rolling. So I don't know if there's a time in July that y'all want to go ahead and decide on. We can get a special committee meeting going again, since it's been about 2 months since we've had anything with that. Is there any time that's good for you, Scott? Better than not, or how is July looking for you?
Not good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how it's been, like yeah.
I've got
So,
I've got a huge environmental audit the last week, so
Okay.
between now and then, I'm
Okay.
out.
okay, all right.
But after
First week of
August gets
August?
here,
First, I was gonna
yeah,
say,
the first
tell me
week in
what works
August,
for you.
I can meet them.
Okay.
Yeah, before then, yeah.
We want to do first week of August. How does that look for you, Krista?
I've got some openings. We have tree board on that Monday, but I have, because we're talking about in the evening.
Yes, I can't do the 4th. That's the only day.
Yeah, the 4th is not good for me either.
A Tuesday, August 2nd.
Tuesday is best for me,
Tuesday could
the
work for me.
2nd of August.
Tuesday, August 2nd. Can we do that? Go ahead and commit. Can we do it at the extension office?
As far as I know, I think we can find a place.
Can you send us a meeting invite?
Sure will.
Thanks.
What's a good time, Krista, for extension office? Or for you to make it into town, because I don't want you rushing. You're all.
4:30, 5 o'clock is fine.
But you can bring food to that.
Yes.
Oh.
So 5 p.m.
5.
Let's do 5 p.m. Okay. So we will have our special committee meeting August 2nd. Again, those are open too, so anybody is welcome to come and sit in. And so what I'll do this month is I'll send out the Planet Geo or information that's in the drive. And then we'll send out, we do have a scope of
I
work.
think they didn't really give us a quote for doing the actual plan though. They only
I
gave
thought
us,
that was the 5,500, no.
it's been a while.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So we'll refresh, we'll send out, kind of get us updated to where we were and get us back on track and bring in a big thing to stick on the wall so we can write some things down and commit. So, okay.
And I'm just gonna say this, but the ag department should open their urban forestry grant program hopefully very soon, because I think they say that applications would be due sometime in September. So anyway, it is possible that we might be able to get in on that hopefully the day of thing is done.
So, well, I thought about emailing Corey before we came, and I thought, no, just hold on, I'll ask him again in a week, how we're doing. So, but that's part of our pause, is we've been waiting on to find out if we had access to funds or grants and where opportunities are for that. But a consultant, especially in light of the turn on the boards and skill sets and things like that, it may just be a relief to be able to have some things given to a consultant. And we do know, we are going to partner with UCA, and that's the aspiration, is that we'll have some projects coming through environmental science program there too. So anyway, wanted to move through that very quickly. How are we doing on time? 5:13. Okay. So I did do a few things. So Arbor Day will be November 5th. And you guys have a piece of paper in the mini. It just said Arbor Day previous information. It's just a simple little Word doc. So I went through the Google Drive because it's been a while since there's been an actual in-person festival. We did digital events for the past 2 years, correct? And so I went back and that all kind of, and so the in-person events preceded me. So I've gone back and looked at, what was some of the feedback, who were the exhibitors, who were some previous sponsors, and thought we could just do a quick rundown of Keep Toss Ad, some quick thoughts. And then also it looks like, and you guys correct me, Natalie, if this is wrong, but it looks like most of the events were from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. But I saw some feedback that 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. might be better. I don't know if there's insight into that or if we think.
Sometimes it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
I like later better because I don't like to get up early anyway, but I mean.
I think people migrate out, if
Yeah.
it's on a Saturday. So is everybody good with doing it 11?
I think the
to
last time we
1?
had an in-person event, it was freezing.
Yeah.
It was very, because I was there with EcoFest that year and it
Yeah.
was chilly, windy too.
That
Yeah.
was. We
So-
may need to make a new sign. I can't remember if it says 10, but that's not a big deal.
And there was signage referenced in there too. I didn't put that up, but it said something about like 3 banners. So I know we'll need to review and take a look at signage too.
We probably need to take inventory. I will say, because we've got tree board stuff stored at my office and there was food stuff and we took the liberty of throwing it away because we were having some rodent issues and it was all past date anyway since we haven't had it in a while. So.
Well, we noticed on some of the old materials, it had the old there was that website that we had for a while that was a tree board website. So we've got to make sure that the verbiage is all correct, so. All right, so reviewing signage and inventory, okay. And then looking at the time frame too. And then, so for this year's event, the one thing we do know is we're gonna be replanting the 6 celebration trees that had to be removed, and we'll do a rededication ceremony to all of the honorees since we're moving all 20. So we know that's gonna be on the north. That's the correct direction, right? On the north end of the park, where kind of the concrete pad is closest to the tennis court area. So that's,
I'm
Oh, right,
wondering
that's
about
the
that.
thing.
So the last time we did it, we actually planted the tree there. But since this is quite a few trees and it's a big job, I'm wondering about actually having the trees planted the week before
okay.
and getting Parks Department to help with that during normal working hours, maybe. And then we could just do more of a dedication of those trees during the event with that.
That's fine with me.
Just kind of simplify it.
Sure. Well, because that was gonna be my question.
Because
is
you
where
also
do we
have
wanna
the safety
locate-
issues, you got holes
Yeah.
and,
I think it's
all of
better to
that.
plan in advance, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and we could, if the Girl Scouts wanted to get their badges, still invite them in or no? Or do we
And
wanna have
we
a
could
different,
always-
a
I mean,
different
if-
event for them?
No, I think we'll figure out a way to include them. So if maybe we plant one tree on the day or
of.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Cause that's just a good demonstration and.
It is, that's true, it is an
opportunity so we can send
educational
them on, yeah.
demonstration, so.
But timeliness and safety, and that was gonna be my question is, if all of this is on the north end and it was really successful on the south end of the park last time, we're near the splash pad, cause you're able to utilize some of the structures down there. The logistics of being in both places without, sprawling. So I think that's a good alternative to just have the ceremony, the dedication ceremony early or first, and then thoughts on location of the other activities is one thing we need to consider. And then how many booths and exhibitors, what are we looking for in terms of size of festival and what our offerings are? So do y'all have thoughts about education, information? I know there was a bounce house before. I'm not sure that we need a bounce house.
I think you have to have sign parental
Waivers.
Well, there's just so many
waivers
there's a lot of apparatus there already, and
It's
I would
pretty
really
big
have them
bubble
not in a.
and-
I'd rather have them in the tree. I'd rather have them out in the
Mhm.
park, but that's a personal opinion.
Yeah,
I like the
I think we could do
scavenger hunt too.
some of those activities that you did at EcoFest, I think would be great, so there's still kids' activities, but they're a little more educational. I think that would be really nice. I will say that Master Gardeners, they may be able to do something a little bit bigger this year. So if we have an idea that we want them to do. We can suggest it, even something that might take some funding from them. They made a lot of money at their big plant sales.
Yeah,
And
so
now
sad I
they're-
missed that.
And now they're looking for, ways to spend it on doing educational
Great.
activities. So.
Well, that was one of the, hopping on down really to exhibitors, since I took us, started talking about that. The feedback, so some of the hindsighting was that educational boost was something that they wanted. And where did I put it? Somebody was talking about doing more activities. So I'm not sure what all the master gardeners would be willing to do, but it would be great to,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I'm not whatever, but I think we can suggest things. So.
Department of Sanitation, kids love big trucks, so if you get the big recycling truck up there or something, I know they love to show up for stuff like that too, so.
And they were there. What did they do? Did they talk about recycling when they were?
I think maybe they only put recycling bins out,
Mhm.
kind of like they do it.
That would work, but I mean,
They give some giveaways and stuff like that, but I thought they had like a table last time, but I can't remember.
So the main activity that Master Gardeners did in the past was they actually helped with the tree giveaway, but we don't have trees to
I was
give away
gonna
this
say.
time unless we want to buy some. So depending on what our funding would allow,
So,
we could possibly buy some small trees. But I mean, at that time of year, they'd have to be potted trees, which would cost more than the bare root seedlings that we can do in the spring.
Significantly more.
well, and I think with the response to the seedling giveaway and spring,
It would.
personally, I would like to save and have a really large giveaway starting in spring, because there were 600 trees given out in 2 hours,
And people didn't, everybody didn't give them, we still had requests after.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
so many.
No, I think we need to double the number.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I thought
Which
I
we'll
would
have
be
to
able
buy
to show
some,
up 2 hours
because they
into
won't
the,
give them all to us.
let's see, I thought it should be able to show up 2 hours into the event for free trees, and
And they were gone.
they were
yeah.
gone.
No. And there was a max.
Another activity though, and this came up, I think, when the city shared our Facebook post about, that was lots of fun, about having open positions. Did you read the comments on the Facebook?
I did not read the comments.
No, I have not been
There
on
were
social
many
media.
comments.
I'll have to go look at them.
I do wonder about, and this might be more of a, something for next year, but there was, it may be time to really start looking at doing, removing Bradford pears, especially on our public property in our parks, as a demonstration of this is what we should be doing. And then maybe doing a tree for a tree, you remove your Bradford in your yard and we will give you another tree. City of Fayetteville has done this. They have not had a huge number of people take them up on it. So it's almost more of an education campaign than an actual.
Which is fine with me.
Exchange of.
You can also just cut the branches off and graft real pear branches onto the tree and it will grow real pears, but I don't think anybody wants to do
Sounds
that.
difficult.
Grafting is a lot of work as far as I know, so yeah.
But I would love to see us actually remove some Bradfords from on public property that are in very visible locations, and then do a little bit of publicity around that.
Okay. And that you're thinking for
my electric
spring.
chainsaw.
I'll help out.
It's electric, it's got a renewable, a rechargeable battery.
Perfect.
So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, we could do that around, actually do the removals around Arbor Day without offering anything at that time. Or
They could
we
sign
can kind
up
of
to-
plan for the future and do something at another time along those lines.
Maybe we'll do a removal to then get their spring tree.
Or just, if people are interested, we can just get their information up front and be like, so we have this plan. When we're ready for it, we'll let you know that you can cut down your Bradford pear and we'll give you a new tree.
Yeah, and I can find out exactly how Fayetteville's done it. They didn't give huge trees. They gave very modest native trees.
Sure. I'm glad you brought up the invasive removals, because I am noticing that as I'm looking around at different cities, and that there is an emphasis, almost not as much, but there is a large emphasis on that right now for sure. Okay.
Something you might think about when you're talking about replacing the Bradford pears is, I know a lot of people are, they're decorative, they like how they look, so when if y'all, decide, hey, we'll give you a tree, just picking native trees that are similar in, I don't know, shape or flowers.
And that is
Feel
actually what
like-
Fayetteville did, is
Yeah.
they had
Well,
like
I-
serviceberry and some others that are like spring blooming, smaller
Red buds are
trees.
just-
Yeah.
Oranges, and they're, red buds are native too, so. They're about the same shape.
I'm a standing member in both, standing officer in UCA Fish and Wildlife Society. And so we've done EcoFest, we've done a bunch of different festivals, we have all of our own signage and stuff, and warm bodies to help man tables, especially wanting to do a more educational based like demonstration. We could absolutely do that. Most of our demonstrations have been the fish and wildlife side of it. So we'll have turtles, or we'll bring macro inverts, or we'll partner with AGFC and have snakes and crocodiles, whatever. We could definitely reach out to AGFC and coordinate with them and do that. We could also try to have it be like, here's tree bark, or guess what leaf this came from, or hey, smell some sweet gum leaves, and they smell neat, 'cause they do. But college clubs, definitely,
Or
and I mean,
tables that are booths that.
with
Yeah.
Hendrix and CBC all so close. I mean, UCA has a few clubs that are pertinent, and then for, instead of a bounce house, maybe, I know UCA has COPA, so it's outdoor equipment rental that students can utilize. I want to say they've got hammocks and straps, and so if we could see if COPA wanted to be there and like be in an area having hammocks set up for people to use and be like, this is non-detrimental to your trees. Like having more trees means you don't have to buy things to hang your hammock. You just find a tree. That might be an alternative to a bounce house, though it does not need to be bounced on the hammocks.
And I think, the balance, now there's just so much.
There's too much liability involved with them.
Well, and they're just, if they want to play on apparatus, there's plenty at Laurel Park now.
What is it?
Go play on the playground,
Yeah.
I would love,
So-
there are urban tree climbing events that go on that I would love to do that whole. It's way too advanced. We'll get there.
We could host the state tree climbing
Could we? Because
competition.
I can never make it. It's always, there's something always going on every year. I'm like, we're going this year.
If we wanted in Conway, I'm on the Urban Forestry
We wanted
Council,
in
I
Conway.
could, I
Yes.
could request.
Can we? Do we have a good swath
us
of
on the
land
list.
that would? I didn't know what the
It has, I
requirements
mean, I'm trying to think of which park would work for it. The neat thing is, the contest organizers come in before the event and they actually prune out like damaged wood and stuff to make it safer for the contestants, so you get like free pruning.
So strategic decision making.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that, but I wasn't sure. That would
They
be
don't,
great.
so as far as I know, they don't have a location for the 2023 event yet, it's usually the first weekend in May.
How many trees are needed and how tall of trees are needed?
Honestly, I don't, they usually do it in a park,
We've got counter.
and they need, they'd have to come like look at our parks and figure out what they want.
I mean,
'Cause
we've
I
got-
don't know enough about what they're looking for.
Cadron is a city park now too, and there's a lot of trees available out
That
there.
one might not be open enough, so they need kind of the open space like Laurel is.
okay, I see what you
Beaver
mean.
Fork might work actually.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good location.
And I think the
space and
contestants would like
accessibility.
that, so they would just,
And then there's all other stuff. too.
so I can ask.
Yes.
I would like if you would do that. I don't know. Kyle's like,
Well, it's more of the
They
park
carry the
staff that's
liability of the
like,
park
what
staff."
do we have to do for this?
more maintenance on their trees or just taking a load off. Yeah. So that'd be neat. Yeah. Curious. See what they say.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is not for Arbor Day. Look, we're finding all kinds of activities.
Yeah, other
not-
activities that we're.
I guess RSOs and clubs, and that was my first thought. And especially since EcoFest is not happening, normally that's October. This year we did it on Earth Day, but physical in-person festivals for EcoFest is no more, at least for the near future in the next couple of years. They're kind of reevaluating. And so I was thinking about some of the activities that we used to do there, like leave no trace. So what would be relevant that we would want to bring that wasn't there before at the Arbor Day event? And they're going to bring their own activities and things. And let me pause for a moment, because it looked like there were about 500 people who attend the event in this very short window of time. And so we'll get families. I remembered it being young families. And what's the demographic?
So
Young
the
families?
demographic tends to be the families of the school children that are invited to
Participating.
sing. And
Or the art contest, or,
yeah.
Okay.
So families of elementary age children.
Okay. And then what about, did we ever get a draw from middle or junior high? Because I know when we did the art contest, did they bring families as much, or it's mostly young or demographic? Okay.
They didn't really show up, I feel like, either.
So I was there for that one, and I remember there not being a couple people. Okay. So, all right.
And it was super windy last time, and when we tried to hang the art, it kept flying off. So that's another thing to think about.
Are we
more
still, I
stu-
think, are we
study.
gonna do that kind of art? Are we still gonna do the photography or both?
I
Or?
mean, we can do both.
I was gonna say, that would be a question. So we used to do art contests submitted through all the schools, and they would submit them and we would vote, like art gallery. And that was always fun. I'd say most we had 20, I don't remember.
I think we had like 25 or 30 maybe.
Submissions, okay. And then, so when COVID hit, we pivoted to a digital photography contest. And we only did that, was it for 2 weeks?
Yeah, and we had
Yeah.
more actually.
And it was so awesome.
Yeah, and people were,
Natalie did.
yeah, it was
Like
amazing.
organizing that.
Yeah, and so we know I'm pretty sure we've decided we want to repeat the digital photography, because that captured from retirees on down to
Yeah,
what
so
was
anybody
9
can
or
do
7, the youngest person. And we got more submissions in the art in lesser amount of time. So I mean, it doesn't have to be either. It could be both if we want to, but the reach was pretty far. And so this year we thought about, and what made me think of the volunteer fair is that we thought about doing it earlier this year and running it for about 6 weeks so we could get change of season. And that would be kind of that build up, and then stop it about a week or two before the actual Arbor Day, because we printed them on canvas and they're hanging at the Expo Center. So this year we still could do a presentation of awards, but their things would be hanging in public. But and then we will have some other activities leading up to Arbor Day. But so that would be something we could get some volunteers and help for marketing students or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So honestly, I think it is not too early to start reaching out to some of these groups to see if they would just want to man an educational booth. Is that?
And so is there anyone else who want to add? So I know Master Gardeners, Master Naturalists, Daffodil Days, FFA, 4-H Sanitation, Game and Fish Commission. The Chamber was there to talk about their beautification projects. I don't know if they usually come out or if that was a one-off for the beautification grant project that we did.
Actually, Arkansas Forestry Division isn't on this list. and it
Yeah,
should
that's, I was looking at that.
Well, and that's, so
be. 'Cause
some
they
things
they often bring Smokey.
That's
okay.
what I was gonna
Yep.
ask.
So I saw Smokey on there, but I was curious who did that. I know you were attached to that too.
And they
Faulkner
have so
County.
many giveaway, like Smokey
Yeah.
giveaway items, so
Okay.
I think we can
That's
definitely
actually,
get
I mean, it's a
That's
US
what I
Forest
like.
Service deal, but
them.
the Forestry Division used to
Will
be
run
commissioned.
booths.
Yeah, and Faulkner County has their district office, so it's a little bit bigger, has more resources than a lot of the other counties.
So actually, if you guys are okay with it, I can reach out to Master Gardeners, Master Naturalists, Daffodil Days, 4-H, Arkansas Forestry
So they're
Division.
all in your office.
I have contacts with all of those.
Hello, everyone.
I'll take care of it all. And then, okay, and so I guess that was my question, did we have a solicitation letter that kind of went out to people about being an exhibitor, being a sponsor,
We need to
being
get
a partner?
organized. I was just gonna like call them up.
Well, no, and I mean, a one-on-one contact network obviously is better, but I was just curious if that is something that we do, or if our community action committee, if that's something we could get going, because we do have a larger spend this year in terms of trees and the engraved brick pavers. That's what I can't remember the numbers now, but that's gonna be about $3,000. I can't remember. Our money's going pretty quickly once we start looking at the trees and the bricks and all of these things. And so we are gonna have a need for some sponsors, monetary and some in-kind and partnerships. And so if we could get a sponsor letter together, maybe a solicitation for that. Also for exhibitors would be good. And I'm looking at y'all, I'm like, anybody wanna help with that? I'm like, can I
See,
delegate
I'm not
this
great
to
at
someone?
marketing, but like,
Yeah.
somebody write the letters, I'll send them out. I'll be contact person or whatever, but yeah, somebody else write the letters.
We wrote letters when I was at United Way, and so I think
I'm like, you know.
I think I can put something together and then we can tweak
Kind
it.
of based on,
Yeah.
format.
And would that be something we need to get vetted? Like Felicia, do we
I'll
normally
check
do
and
our
see.
communication? I know we'll copy you and James for sure on it, but just let us know protocols before we start sending out solicitations. And I know if we look at, do we have to do bidding, requests if we do T-shirts and things like that, so they're,
I know we didn't in the past.
I was gonna say, I
but those are-
didn't see that had happened, and I'm not asking for more, regulation on anything, obviously, but I didn't know.
So in the past, we sold T-shirts.
Yes.
At the event.
And so, because I see on their sponsors, we had, so somewhere there was BSW Printing. I know Conway Copies is our actual print paper, but is that who did our T-shirts, maybe?
They're
Okay.
Plumberville.
Sure.
They're in Plumberville.
They're in
BS
Plummerville.
BSW.
Is in Plummerville? Okay. And I was curious who Morrilton Packing Company
That is Petty Jean Meats.
Oh, is that Petty Jean Meats?
Oh, that
Okay,
was the hot
they're the
dogs.
same. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do we want to do hot dogs? That wasn't on your.
So, well,
listed
I
activity. Was it?
have, well, it's
Yeah.
down under I didn't know where to put them, but bounce house, popcorn machine, cotton candy machines, hot dogs. These are the things that used to all happen. And I'm thinking, can we not get food trucks out there and let them
Oh,
handle?
probably, yeah.
Can we do
There are
coffee and food trucks? And
regulations against having food trucks at the park.
Oh,
So
no.
the last year-
That's new, because we used to always have them.
The last year we did it in person for security, donated their grill and all of the
Yeah.
hamburgers and hot,
I
or
was gonna say, First
I can't
Security
remember
does
if they
that.
did hamburgers, but it was hamburgers, hot dogs, buns, condiments, like
There are
chips
ways to
and
get
things.
approval for different like community events to have.
Okay.
So and in fact, we need to get on the park's calendar.
Yes, so I wanted to finalize time. If we're good on the 11 to 1, then I'll get with Derek so we can get.
And then
the-
ask about food and what
Yeah.
restrictions there are.
First Security, I mean,
And I could.
I
meet in
use
the
them,
parking lot.
so I have a slight bias, but yeah, they've always been good about doing community
yeah.
events with like hot dogs and hamburgers with their big teal grill and all that.
And then like bottled water.
Yeah, usually they have
Like-
drinks.
Premium refreshment, I'm assuming that's the bottled water. It looked like there was premium
I think
refreshment.
those were the water, big water, like
Well,
stands that you can,
dispensers.
yeah,
What did you do? Oh, even
Oh,
better.
yeah, I think that's what that
Instead
was.
of all the bottled
Instead of all
water,
the
that would
plastic.
make me happy if we didn't do that. So that's what they did before. Ooh, can we reach out to them again for that? Okay. So water stations, I think, are, especially it's just a 3-hour event earlier in the day, like
3 or 2.
11 to 1,
That's
two,
actually like
sorry,
2
2
hours,
hours.
yeah.
2-hour event. So do we want to continue on with hot dogs, and do we want to do popcorn? I do not want to do cotton candy, but if there is a volunteer who wants to do cotton
If somebody
candy,
wants to give it away, we'll take it.
like, I don't know that we need to
It's I
do
think it's
that.
just a matter of I think we used to rent the things from
Machine.
Eagle.
Yeah.
What, was someone saying something over here?
So why are food trucks not allowed?
City.
They're not allowed to set up on public property.
But they could get a permit for a festival.
Yeah,
Right.
it has to be on private
You
property.
can't make money from a park, basically, you as a private person. So you also, we've had issues with doing our yoga in the park, because they don't
Someone
like,
was paid. to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't do paid exercise classes in the park.
Is a loophole saying for donation?
So
We could
since
probably
this is
just
a
get
community event,
variance.
there's a chance that the Parks Department will allow it, but they will have to be the ones that decide.
And I'm
We-
saying
yeah, we
all
could
of our
get a
festivals
variance
were
of some
pre-COVID,
kind,
and I
yeah.
don't know what all has changed, but we
I
used
think
to
the
have, but it
hamburger
fell
hot
under
dog
our
thing
festival.
sounds easy.
Say one more time.
Said I think the hamburger hot dog thing sounds pretty
Yeah.
easy.
Either
The
way.
problem is since it's on a Saturday, they're not gonna pay employees to come out and grill, and
Right,
so
it falls on us.
Agreeance has been grilled
Oh, I
last
didn't know
time.
that.
But I don't know if like Centennial is different or Bank of the Ozarks.
My husband would grill, no problem. If you need
Mine-
somebody
mine
that's
would
like
probably
burgers,
help
he'd
grill
love
too,
it.
but
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
that's
vote
what I
for
was
it.
Thinking food trucks, cause like, they already have the people to make the food well.
Yeah, I
That's,
mean, if
you know,
we
that
need a
was my
variance
thought
of
is
some
maybe we
kind-
pay a fee for, you know, hey, we
Yeah.
might serve up to this many, what would that fee be for them to then come out and do that? Or I'll ask Derek what the stipulations are about that. Cause I was thinking there's that cute little coffee truck and then there's, of course, if we want it to be free to the community too and not charge, and we think about accessibility. I wanna pause for a moment. So I wanna think about accessibility where everyone can come and it's not a burden, like if a family.
And it's not like the
Or
carnival
children.
where you're like, your kid's like, I want, and everything costs money.
Everything costs money.
So I know, I
accessibility.
think coffee very specifically does extensive work with different organizations and nonprofits in the community. And so when I was thinking for donation, like they were specifically who I was thinking of. Either, yeah, we pay at the front end some fee or for donations. I mean, it's also a marketing event for them. So even
sure.
if they're not selling their goods, they're still
Great marketing.
monetarily
Yeah.
gaining indirectly.
Yeah.
But I would think they specifically would be great, but then also trying to have it, like if it's just hot dogs and hamburgers that we're cooking, that's great for people who eat meat. But if you don't eat meat, you don't have food, or if you're gluten intolerant, you don't have food. And so having different options, I think, would be more accessible.
Very valid.
Oh, and if you do get approval for a food truck, I'm friends with the people who run the breakfast tray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm friends with the people who run Magic Food Bus, so yeah, like,
I've got
don't
big
wanna, like,
coffee, so,
don't wanna
like,
give people preferential treatment since we're city board, but like, I do have contacts with several,
And this is why the city
this is
likes to just say no.
yeah.
This makes sense, this makes sense.
Question, thank you very much, so.
So they're not
There's that.
showing
My friends, I
favorites.
mean, I go eat there a lot.
Yeah.
They know me by name now because I go there so often.
Willow's special.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, so, okay. And I know we're bouncing all around here too, so what about popcorn? Do we want, because I think was that not a First Security or a Banks machine, or did y'all?
I think it was rented from Hegel.
It was rented.
It was rented from Hegel, okay, and that would have been why Hegel. So I look at sponsors too, so I've got Hegel, and so they were popcorn. I gotcha.
Bear in mind, they dropped off the machinery and left,
We did.
and then volunteers,
Which I think it was Master Gardeners who ran a lot of
Did
it.
that,
popcorn, cotton candy.
cotton candy.
So I will say, Master Gardeners haven't been active in Harbor Day for a long time either, so we might have we've been having a little bit of difficulty getting as many volunteers as we
Y'all are busy. I have a lot of stuff going on. Good. Okay, so let's see, how are we doing on time here? Okay, 5:43, so maybe like 5 more minutes, and I gotta put this down. So, okay, let me back up. So Master Gardener, so anyone else we wanna add? I was thinking about Leave No Trace. Do they still come out and do? That would be good since it'll be fall, people will be going back into the woods.
Would it be appropriate for any of the local environmental consulting firms? Not as like a job fair, but as a, hey, let's take care of the environment kind of educational booth.
So I guess would it be a sales venture for them, or like what kind?
I'm
not
thinking
sure.
of like
Not-
JB Mac or any of the privately owned to help educate the public about essentially the importance of protecting the environment and in a sense the importance of them existing in their work and showcasing we need to make our environment more green. Here's examples of how we have helped do that, and these are things you guys can help do as individual people.
So I think, and y'all chime in, and I'm not as familiar, but I think that was always kind of a slippery slope for us, is that has to be educational and not something that's they're going to try to make a profit. Ultimately, they're going to spread information about their business. We want success for everyone. But again, we want this to go and be just an educational event and not so much pressure. We don't want it to turn into sales. Does that make sense? And so that was something we always had to monitor on the front end and make sure that it was an educational basis only. We're not coming to pitch programs or
Products.
That's not what we're doing. We're here to talk about all the great things they're doing, right? So.
When you say we, you mean EcoFest.
So sorry. That was a slippery
I know
slope for
that.
us. Yes, that's why we went to a separate marketplace versus we had vendors and exhibitors, and you either lived in one place. You were taxed and you had the ability to pitch your programs and sell them, and or you were an educator. Right. So I've never had that feeling that we have have we had that previously at Arbor Day? I didn't think it was really going much until that was more so like your state government, civic groups, RSOs, clubs.
The Arbor Day celebration is relatively short.
It is 2 hours, yeah, so, and we will carry over, so we did have the activities at EcoFest, and those will be hands-on things too going on, so we do wanna be mindful, we're gonna try to accomplish a lot if we do do we need to extend it to 3? I don't know, I don't wanna make it too big, but making sure we have enough time for a dedication, a tree demonstration, because those are kind of two at the core things that we want to do. If we have entertainment and music, so we've got to get people there too, so that's going to require some time.
What about the speech, the city mayor's
The
speech?
proclamation and the speech, so normally they do come out and we'll do a proclamation, and again, that's been so long, it's been happening a la video the last couple of times.
We may want to make sure we're on the mayor's schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. We may need to do that pretty quickly.
Yes.
Are you gonna ask or who was?
I can either way, if you want me to, I can.
Go ahead. You wanna
Request
do it?
his presence.
Alicia came to the cemetery.
Right. A lot of times he sends like a proxy.
And then James did it last year for us, so, okay.
How does Daffodil Days fit into this?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what they did.
don't
That
know
was
what
my
they
question,
did.
is kind of what did everyone do at their,
Well, I
And
know,
they're a really small organization, so.
yeah, I know Master Naturalists. They had an education booth, what they did, and then they, were sort of just getting the word out about their group.
that's good.
And a lot of them were actual master gardeners, so they kind of crossed over with each other.
And I love, and I can't remember, someone used to do the carbon, the rings, the tree biscuits with the rings, and then the carbon and the trees. They would bring out examples of that too, and that.
We can bring
So
Dendro
appealing.
samples.
Tons of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know, but it's a good basic, it's great.
So will you reach out to your club that you're part of to?
Hey, as a club, we'll do it.
Okay.
And I was
I'm the
curious, I
vice
hadn't looked
president
at
of it, so
academic
yes.
calendar, I don't know what's going on November 5th.
We haven't planned yet, so you guys get the top of the planning.
Does Parks provide tables? We tell them how many tables?
It looked like they did, it looks like Derek, and their guys, there were about 40 tables.
And they'll bring bleachers if we need them.
That's on the 4 bleachers is what it looks like we had last time.
And trash can, extra trash cans.
So we'll have to talk to sanitation about that.
We've got our own pop-up canopies, we've got tables if we need to bring our
Yeah.
own.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have tables, so just to keep it easier for you.
That sounds great, that sounds in the future.
And that way we can plot and label, where everybody goes and kind of get it laid out.
Are you gonna reach out to sanitation?
I can, yep.
I don't remember what chamber of it did.
It said Isaac was talking about the
That's all of it.
beautification project, which is what's about to come to fruition, so I'm not sure what else is on the books.
We can invite them if there's anything they want to.
I can ask if they have anything to promote.
The other part too is, what is our exhibit? What does our table look like? And I saw in some of the feedback having our canopy coverage or some GIS information or some kind of graphics out to share with the communities and some of the feedback. I see you.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at you, but I see
Yeah.
your hand going up steadily. So,
Yeah.
yes, y'all are all on our books. Were you gonna say something specific?
Yeah, like if you guys need maps or anything, just let me know, because I'd love to, make some for y'all.
We would love for you to make some, and that's
And you
part
have
of
a
the.
big printer too, right? You're able to print them big?
Yes, I can, you're.
So I work for
friends-
the IT department and the biology department, and so I'm the direct assistant to the person in charge of the plotter. So yes.
I can,
Cool.
He also
Cool.
works with me.
Yeah.
Like 3 degrees of separation.
So
But in fairness, we are reaching out to all schools.
yes,
Yeah.
the Fish and Wildlife Society, as a registered student organization, can request for specific things to be printed through the biology department.
Nice.
And so any maps and graphics that are needed and produced can then be printed.
I mean, we could do a little tree ID walk during this, just around the park.
But I thought we'd
At
do
a scheduled time, so kind of have like some scheduled activities that are more just kind of like show up if you want to participate.
I think depending on our time frame and who's available, because we talked about, doing the photography contest, stopping at that 2-week mark. We have a tree price tag project we'd like to do too around the city, where we're actually showing actual price tags and values of trees on a fun route and like engaging people in a different way. And then, so the tree ID walk would be another, and that may be where maybe some of our partnerships look different. Maybe the master naturalists are helping to lead that instead of they'll have a booth, but their activity may be actually the tree ID walk or something like that. So,
I have to leave in 10 minutes,
yeah,
just.
we're all leaving here in 10
Okay.
minutes.
I just like, I don't wanna like be that guy, but
We're
like,
about to call it.
yeah.
So, because it is, we're at 5:51, but I did want us to at least
Oh, it's time.
look
Yeah.
at, we need to do that. And so my biggest concerns are sponsorships, and I didn't come prepared with like total numbers, but I mean, we have a pretty minimal, but if we're gonna go all in on these trees and on the brick pavers, we know we can get partnerships, but if we wanna do some of these larger things, we'll need to get some sponsors. And so if we can get a sponsorship letter going, start reaching out to exhibitors, and then looking at the program, if we are gonna do an art contest this year, will that be through the schools? And maybe that's what the art board wants to do. Maybe they want to help us with that this year, so I'm gonna pose that question instead of the tree value tag, because I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't really know what we could ask them to do, like, because we're gonna want a pretty specific, we don't need a lot of artistic flair and creativity, we want price tags, on the tree. So we could probably do that, but maybe the art contest would be something that they would be.
In addition to the price tags, I also have this idea of having little like the comic book, what are they, the bubbles, like the thought
bubbles.
things, and where it's like the tree is speaking.
Yes.
And just simple things like, I'm a red maple, I do
I
this.
provide enough oxygen for 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a day, like that kind of stuff. I mean, because it's relatable.
Right.
I
We
like
do
that.
the Lorax and it says I speak for the trees and then says what the trees say, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's sort of.
There was this like Australian city that they named trees and gave them email addresses, and people would like email the trees, and the trees would email back.
That's fantastic.
Writing to Santa.
But I don't want to do that.
A lot of
It's a lot of emails.
Has to manage it's supposed to be the tree. Respond, right? So, okay, so if we can work on those solicitations, then if y'all can think of any other sponsors who we might want to reach out to in terms of partnership sponsors, exhibitors, and how, I don't know how big we want to make the actual day of event without really killing ourselves, so.
I mean, keep in mind that we do have the people in this room. who
Open
are-
position. That's why I'm like, how much, like, can we grill and can we do all of these things? So, we're talking 2 hours. So anyway.
I think the idea of asking the master naturalists to do like a tree ID walk would be really good.
And then the master gardeners, is there anything for pollen? I don't know what would be relevant in November that would make sense for their purpose of an activity to do. So.
I mean, they could help with the activity that we did at EcoFest. I think they'd have to be trained, right?
Yeah.
And that's just one idea, because that would take that off of us,
Mhm.
and there could be other kid activities or something like that.
Okay.
And then as far as sponsors, what are you talking about? Are you talking about like monetary? Are you talking about like cookies? What?
Well, and so I guess some of that was questioned, and we've answered it. Some things were donations in-kind sponsorships, either giving us products, monetary gift cards.
I mean, like my boss
Printing.
would throw in money
Yeah.
over anything,
Yeah.
but like Cross Creek would throw in cookies, or you know, I can ask. It doesn't. There's no threshold, right? Like I can just ask for whatever.
I feel like at some point it would be good to kind of have project areas and different people be in
Well,
charge.
and I was looking at all the Excel, it looks like there were lots of sign-up sheets, and it was very segmented as to who's doing what. So today I thought, if we're feeling okay with that, we'll put something in some kind of spreadsheet and see who wants to own a particular project.
Let's do that.
And then
That way we don't have like different people contacting the same
all the
business.
same, absolutely. We
Right.
want to keep a running
Okay,
sheet.
I like that.
And as long as everyone will commit to using it, updating, and then we're, or you're gonna take ownership of a certain project.
Did you just say you're gonna create a Google sheet? Okay.
I like that.
Quick question, I know that you were talking about selling shirts previously at Arbor Days of the past. Thoughts on doing a shirt that says Friends of the Trees, and then everybody that's donated either goods or money. I know that different RSOs, we do that of like friendliest or best coffee in town, and it's the coffee houses that gave us money, right? Like, and so like, hey, you will also be, getting pre-marketing and
Or
shirts.
t-shirts, yeah, I think it was always kind of like that, right? Or
Yeah, we had
I mean,
logos
different
and with that
concepts with the sponsors on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like EcoFest did the same
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
At a certain amount, you went on the shirt.
So, and it referenced a black shirt that people really liked, but I don't know what that shirt is.
I think everybody liked the green,
Keep calm and plant trees.
yeah, mine's getting a little worn out.
Yes.
That was the.
And so we will need to
That was my favorite one.
get back to that.
But it focuses on planting again, and I really, at some point, I want tree care to be the focus.
Plant, preserve, protect, all the
in front of
things.
the trees, I mean,
Yeah.
I plant them and
I mean, I like the idea of one that just says tree hugger.
Yeah.
Yes. Stickers that say that
Tree
already.
people
Yeah.
is already. So we will need, so we also, our community action group, we need to meet probably so we can hash out some, because we can't do it all here, obviously. So if we can meet, and for sake of time, we got 3 minutes. But if y'all can
Not
look
a
at your
general.
calendar in the next,
Yeah.
can we get a time
Yeah,
set
Just
up
let me know,
for
I'm
us
pretty
to do?
flexible, so as far as time goes.
And this is so I'm gonna be gone 8 days in October, and I'll be gone October 25th through the 31st. I will not be absent from our meeting that month, but I am having a grandbaby, and I will be in Nevada. I'm just saying, grandbaby trumps. But so bearing workload and all of that in mind, I will be gone the 25th through the 31st, and then it's that next week. And then the 2nd through the 8th on the front end of the month, I'll be gone just for that week. So anyway, there's that. So, all right, well then I guess we'll call it with adjourn. And next meeting is August 1st, 4:30, same place. 5:58.
Sounds good to me.
I need to, I make a motion,
No.
second.
No,
Can we
Yeah,
call?
no.
it's consensus.